Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. The border guard has announced that 267 attempts to cross the border illegally were recorded on the Polish-Belarusian border within the last 24 hours. There were also further attacks by groups of several dozen migrants on the services guarding Polish territory. The attack on Polish officials took place with the consent of the Belarusian services. Foreigners were throwing stones and various objects that they found at hand towards Polish officers and soldiers. Additionally, they used hand grenades and blinded the Polish services with stroboscopes. Next, they put makeshift platforms on the border fence and tried to cross over to the Polish side. Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki said that because of the difficult situation, it was possible that the number of troops on the Polish-Belarusian border would be increased. The motivation of those serving, our functionaries or soldiers, is truly very high. This doesn't mean that in a situation where the pressure on them keeps increasing that we won't have to provide support with additional units. But, of course, we still have quite a lot of units available in reserve. Belarus and Russia signed a number of agreements last year to strengthen cooperation, including with security structures. The spokesman for the Special Services Coordinator, Stanisław Żaryn, noted that this meant that the border crisis was analysed through the prism of the cooperation of the Belarusian and Russian services against Poland. The document signed recently also concerned the protection of the federal state's borders and joint responses to border threats. In our opinion, this is an element that means that the conflict organised by the Belarusian services should be viewed through the prism of joint Russian and Belarusian activities. General Roman Polko admits that officers and soldiers face an increasing amount of aggressive behaviour on the part of migrants who are constantly trying to push against the Polish border. He noted that this is a demanding period for the Polish services. What we are observing is unprecedented. The Belarusian services in a very aggressive way support and in fact build a formation that attacks the Polish border. This is a hybrid war, not a humanitarian crisis. These people somehow agreed to carry out this aggression and at the same time to pursue this aggression while simultaneously seeking asylum and humanitarian treatment by the country whose services they are attacking with the equipment that the Belarusian services have supplied. But there are also issues of laser blinding, which can possibly deprive our soldiers of sight. As part of solidarity with all those who defend the Polish border and at the same time endangering their health and life, the media of the free speech zone created the Pride and Respect campaign, which is joined among others by journalists, athletes and politicians. We thank you for protecting us with such determination. We are very proud of you, and that's why we call out Pride and Respect. You are there so that we here in the rest of the country may enjoy our daily lives, our work, enjoy life and enjoy our families, and enjoy peace and tranquility. This is so important to us and we thank you greatly. In the last 24 hours, there were 267 attempts to cross the Polish-Belarusian border illegally. 44 orders were issued to leave the territory of Poland. Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki met French President Emmanuel Macron in Paris today to discuss the difficult situation on the Polish-Belarusian border. They considered solutions and possible additional sanctions on the Lukashenko regime. Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki said on Wednesday that he discussed strengthening sanctions against Belarus during his meeting with French President Emmanuel Macron in Paris. Morawiecki said Macron shared Poland's view on the migrant crisis and he thanked the European Union for solidarity and support in this matter. The President emphasised several times that we have a very similar view of these risks, the events that are taking place around us. Let me summarise them very briefly. On one hand, this is of course a situation on our eastern border with Belarus, which is also the eastern border of NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organisation, and the eastern border of the Union. By defending it, we are also defending the European Union, which is why I would like to thank our French partners, but also all other partners from the European Union, for their words of solidarity and full support for the activities that we conduct in order to defend the eastern border of the Union. Morawiecki spoke to reporters after the meeting at the Elysee Palace. He said the further measures could include further economic sanctions and border closures for freight and rail traffic. Macron reaffirmed his solidarity with Poland in the face of the destabilisation efforts it faces on its eastern border, the French presidency said in a statement on Tuesday. Thousands of migrants are stranded on the European Union's eastern border. Minsk cleared migrant camps at the border and agreed to the first repatriation flights in months last week. Lukashenko, who denies the allegation that he fomented the crisis, has pressurised the European Union and Germany in particular to accept some migrants while Belarus repatriates others, a demand the bloc has so far flatly rejected. Polish authorities estimate about 10,000 or more migrants could still be in Belarus. Spokesperson for Poland's Special Services Stanisław Żaryn said on Tuesday, creating the potential for further problems.
Chcemy doprowadzić do rozładowania tego napięcia.
We want to relieve this tension, but if there is an escalation by the other side, the Belarusian side, we are ready to go, unfortunately, higher on this escalation ladder. For example, economic sanctions, border closure, closing border crossings for freight and rail traffic, and we will, unfortunately, use this escalation ladder if these attacks intensify. Humanitarian agencies say as many as 30 migrants have died at the border, where many have suffered in a cold, damp forest with little food or water as winter sets in. Worldwide shortages of computer chips are beginning to take their toll. Mexico's automotive industry is feeling the pressure of worldwide shortages in semiconductors that have halted vehicle production. The chip crunch has forced rolling shutdowns, layoffs and furloughs at employers large and small, especially across the state of Aguascalientes. In general, our workers have a living daily wage, and when they have to sacrifice their entire wages, or 50%, we are talking about a direct impact on their families. Rita Howick Perez, who is the General Director of Aguascalientes-based auto parts firm Mainsteel and head of one of the state's automotive clusters. Semiconductors are an indispensable component for the world's automakers, who need them for a wide variety of in-car systems such as safety, navigation and entertainment. Projects are being cancelled, moved or slashed. That's why we have reduced our capacity to current requirements, but it is going on 7 months now at this working pace. Employees in Aguascalientes also speak about the hardship that has become commonplace since the pandemic-induced shortages began. This has impacted everyone, not just one person. It's broader than that, especially with furloughs. Fortunately, we still have jobs, thank God, but we are definitely affected. Delilah Gomez works for China-based Mint Group, whose Aguascalientes plant supplies parts to automakers throughout the region. Car production in Mexico fell by 20% to 3.04 million vehicles last year and is forecast to drop by as much as another 5% in 2021, according to the Mexican Automotive Industry Association trade group. And even with all these factors working against them, some within the industry believe the auto sector is not yet over the hill. I think the worst is yet to come. We've just seen the tip of the iceberg because we now realise we don't have a backup plan, nor do OEMs. In Mexico, multinationals affected include Nissan Motor Co., the country's second largest vehicle producer. Prince Charles formally opened a new £1 billion Astrazeneca research and development facility in Cambridge on Tuesday, as the company aims to fuel the growth of its drug pipeline. AstraZeneca has supplied 2 billion doses of its COVID-19 vaccine, developed at Oxford University, and is also looking to bring a preventative antibody cocktail against COVID-19 to the market. Prince Charles, eldest son of Queen Elizabeth II and heir to the throne, saw an exhibit on the pandemic and a demonstration of how augmented reality headsets can help with lab work before hearing about the company's net zero targets. Chief Executive Pascal Soriot, who accompanied Charles on a tour through the facility, said the centre would power the next stage of our company's growth. The plans for AstraZeneca's new headquarters and large R&D campus in Cambridge were unveiled in 2013. But its cost and timeframe have exceeded the initial estimate of £330 million and an original completion date of 2016. AstraZeneca, which has a large portfolio of treatments for diseases such as cancer, heart disease and diabetes, said the centre would support research into specialised medicines and next-generation therapeutics, including gene editing and cell therapies. That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, have a good night and a better tomorrow.